All you Grid Crips was up there popping it for Big U. Y'all was riding down for Big U. Now his son got killed.
After losing his youngin' on Halloween night, Big U allegedly did some grimy shit, putting bread on the heads of cats tied to Nipsey Hussle's camp. But was it revenge, straight desperation, or something way more sinister? Tonight, we're breaking down how grief, street politics, and karma collided in a deadly storm that might rewrite hip-hop's bloodiest chapter. Feel me? A Halloween nightmare. On a cold Halloween night in 2025, while kids were out trick-or-treating and folks were turning up across Los Angeles, a young man's life was about to get cut short in a way that would send shockwaves through the culture and reignite some of the darkest theories surrounding one of rap's most beloved fallen soldiers. This ain't just another senseless street violence story. This is a tale of alleged karma coming back around, retaliation, and the complex, dangerous web that connects gang politics, hip-hop royalty, and the feds building RICO cases against organized crime. Eugene Big U Henley, a major Los Angeles music executive, community activist, and alleged shot caller of the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, lost his son, Jabari Henley, while on Underline on that fateful night of October 31st, 2025. But this wasn't just any tragic loss. The incident went down around 10:15 p.m. outside a smoke shop in the 6500 block of 8th Avenue in South Los Angeles Hyde Park neighborhood, Underline, a location that would become ground zero for intense speculation and finger-pointing all across social media. 25-year-old Jabari, an aspiring rapper who went by the name Baby Weave, was reportedly hit multiple times in what authorities described as a drive-by, old as Underline. The young homie was rushed to the hospital fighting for his life, but tragically didn't make it. As of the writing of this script, no arrests have been made, and LAPD is still investigating the motive, with no immediate details on suspects or the whip they were pushing, Underline. But here's where the story gets even darker and more complex. Jabari wasn't just any young brother caught in the crossfire of LA street violence. He was the seed of a man whose name had been whispered in conspiracy theories, federal indictments, and industry circles for years. Jabari was an aspiring rapper and one of Big U's several children. Big U also has another son, Los Angeles Chargers linebacker Dion Henley, Bonds, Underline, adding another layer of public profile to this already tragic family situation. The immediate aftermath of the shooting saw social media going absolutely crazy with speculation. Initial reports and online discussions were quick to point fingers, with many immediately blaming the Hoovers, a rival set in the LA area. But not everyone was buying this narrative. In a revealing interview that would go viral, Hoover member Gumby would completely debunk this theory, breaking down the real geography and circumstances of the shooting.
Now, they reported, oh, well, he got killed in Hooverhood. That is not our set.
Gumby's breakdown of the situation was thorough and revealing.
That is not. Anybody that's familiar with gang culture and areas know that area is not our area. That area is actually called Pimp Central, right? This what's the rap dude name? Sad, what's his name? Big Sad. That's where the liquor store that he did the video in front of. That's the same place. All the pimps hang out down there. Hoovers are not allowed there. First and foremost.
This geographical detail is crucial to understanding what really popped off that night. The area where Jabari got clapped, specifically around Figueroa Street and 69th Street, Underline, wasn't Hoover turf at all. According to Gumby's detailed breakdown,
that section right there is not ours.
62nd and Figueroa, I believe.
It was 69th in Figueroa.
But perhaps the most chilling detail that emerged from Gumby's interview was his theory about what actually happened, and it had nothing to do with a random drive-by or rival gang beef.
Now, being that this individual, Big Huey, I've heard of him, a few homies, my young nephews and shit, they know who he is, he's somebody to be respected. So if someone would call you to the car in the middle of the night, you would only walk to that car if you knew who that person was.
The implication here is bone-chilling. Gumby was suggesting that Jabari knew his killers, that he walked willingly to that whip because he recognized and trusted whoever was inside.
I'm pretty sure he's well abreast of gang politics and gang area, so he went anywhere unarmed. So who was with him? Why would he walk to the car if he didn't know the people? So that leads me to believe that he was backdoored.
The term backdoored in street vernacular means you got set up by someone from your own circle, betrayed by your own people. It's one of the most devastating forms of violence in gang culture because it represents a violation of trust at the deepest level. And if Gumby's theory was on point, this wasn't a case of rival gang warfare at all. It was something way more sinister, something that would connect directly to events from 6 years earlier and open up a whole Pandora's box of conspiracy theories, federal investigations, and allegations of karma coming full circle. At the time of his son's death, Big U himself was locked down. Big U, who has managed artists like Nipsey Hussle and faced recent federal RICO charges for allegedly running a criminal enterprise involving extortion, fraud, and orchestrating a 2021 murder of aspiring rapper Rayshawn Williams, was in custody while lost underlined. This detail would become crucial as the story unfolded, and theories began circulating about why Jabari might have been targeted. Jabari was involved in the entertainment industry himself. He was reportedly on the set of an upcoming underline, Snowfall, underline, spin-off pilot shortly before his death, underline, where cast members like Gail Bean paid tribute to him after rapping. He was also a father himself, leaving behind 2 young seeds who would now grow up without their pops. The family dimension of this tragedy extended to his brother, Dion Henley, a linebacker for the Los Angeles Chargers, who learned of the murder just hours before a game against the Tennessee Titans on November 2nd. The strength and resilience Dion showed in the face of unimaginable grief was nothing short of remarkable. Despite the tragedy, Dion played, recording a sack and honoring his brother by pointing to the sky and shouting, "I love you," underline. He later explained that focusing on the game helped him cope, stating he wanted to make his brother proud. But as the hip-hop community and social media began processing this tragedy, attention quickly turned to the elephant in the room, the name that had haunted Big U's reputation for years, the conspiracy theory that refused to die, and the question that now seemed to take on an eerie significance. Was this payback for Nipsey Hussle? The Nipsey Hussle shadow, karma, conspiracy, and retribution. To understand why Jabari Henley's death sparked such intense speculation about retribution and karma, we need to rewind to March 31st, 2019, a date that shook the hip-hop world to its core and continues to reverberate through Los Angeles street culture to this very day. Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Asghedom, was shot and killed outside his Marathon clothing store in South Los Angeles. Underline. The entire world mourned. Thousands attended his memorial. He was eulogized as a community hero, a brilliant entrepreneur, and a beacon of hope for South Central LA. The perpetrator, Eric Shitty Cuz Holder, a fellow Rollin' 60s Crips member, was convicted of first-degree murder in 2022 and sentenced to 60 years to life. Underline. The official narrative was straightforward enough. The motive was reportedly a personal dispute where Nipsey accused Holder of being a snitch, leading to a confrontation. Underline. Case closed, right? Dead wrong according to a significant portion of the hip-hop community and numerous conspiracy theorists who believe there was much more to the story. At the center of these conspiracy theories, Eugene Big U Henley. The relationship between Big U and Nipsey Hussle was complex, multifaceted, and ultimately, according to many, deeply troubled. Big U managed Nipsey under his unique music label via a 10-year contract starting in underline. In Big U's own words from a previous interview, he spoke about how he discovered and put Nipsey on.
That's when I started looking for Nipsey. My nephew, shortstop told me to go find Nipsey, because they have been trying to get on.
You got Nip in the studio, you started feeling his vibe and understanding what he could do musically. How early on was it till you realized he was something special?
Shit, I realized he was something special.
Big U painted a picture of mentorship and guidance, describing how
his brother was on his way to prison. They was losing the property that Nip was at. And so Nip ended up staying in my condo in Hawthorne. And so I had a condo in Hawthorne, then I had another spot on the 103rd. So we had got the studio equipment, put it in Hawthorne.
He also claimed to have influenced Nipsey's evolution from pure gangster rap to more conscious entrepreneurial content.
I was already buying property. Like I said, he was staying in one of my properties, so I was showing him that.
But this mentorship story has a dark underbelly. Tensions arose toward the end in 2018 when Nipsey reportedly refused to re-sign, leading to beef, a physical altercation, and Nipsey allegedly making a diss track about about Big U, underlined. This mirrors eerily Big U's later accusation in the 2021 murder of another artist over a similar diss, underlined, a pattern that federal investigators would later use to build their case against him. The conspiracy theories about Big U's involvement in Nipsey's death have been persistent and widespread. Rapper Loose Cannon alleged on No Jumper that Big U was informed 30 minutes before the shooting, underlined. This explosive claim suggested foreknowledge, if not direct involvement in the hit. Big U denied these rumors and sent a cease and desist to No Jumper, which reportedly drew federal interest in investigating his potential ties. In Big U's own defense, he addressed these rumors directly.
I think 2 days after he was killed, Suge called me. And Suge said, get ready. And I'm like, get ready for what? And he was like, because they're going to blame you.
Damn.
And I'm like, man, they got the dude who did it. Like, why the f would they blame me?
He continued, painting himself as a victim of internet gossip and character assassination.
Then you start seeing people building their platforms off of saying this shit. You know what I mean? Then you have people cutting up my words, adding little things, and then it just pitfalls from there.
Big U made what he seemed to think was a compelling point.
He got a letter from Obama. That nigga got 4,000 FBI, CIA, DEAs, and whoever. Ain't nobody had anything to do with that man's demise. Gonna be free.
But here's where things get incredibly complex and disturbing. Following Jabari's killing on Halloween 2025, online speculations erupted suggesting it was retaliation or payback for Big U's alleged role in Nipsey's murder, underlined. These weren't just random internet trolls making baseless accusations. Videos and posts show Nipsey's affiliates mocking Big U and confronting him in prison shortly after the son's death, implying satisfaction or indirect involvement as payback. This underlined. Some sources explicitly label the shooting as revenge, with police reportedly viewing it as a retaliation murder tied to gang feuds or past disrespect against Nipsey, underlined. The speculation reached fever pitch on social media platforms, particularly Twitter, now X, where one post links to a YouTube video titled "Big U's Son Was Retaliation for Nipsey Hustle." Even more tellingly, speculators connect it to Big U's alleged extortion schemes and beefs, including with Nipsey's brother Black Sam, who reportedly spoke out amid the tragedy. Former Death Row rapper SKG accused Big U of involvement in Nipsey's death and celebrated his arrest, framing ongoing violence as fallout. Box underlined. The Eritrean community, deeply connected to Nipsey's heritage, also weighed in on the situation, with posts highlighting Nipsey's Eritrean roots in discussions about the alleged karma. Underline. But perhaps no reaction captured the street sentiment better than a short but pointed video that went viral on social media, calling out the Rollin' 60s Crips for their response, or lack thereof, to Jabari's death.
All you Greg Crips was up there popping it for Big U. Y'all was riding down for Big U. Now his son got killed. Why you niggas ain't sliding, bro? All you niggas up there popping it, my nigga. All you Greg Crips was popping it, my nigga. When Big U was out here, now his son get killed. Big U can't slide. So what y'all gonna do?
This video raised uncomfortable questions about loyalty, street politics, and whether the set was really willing to put in work for Big U, given the circumstances and the swirling rumors about his role in Nipsey's death. It's important to note that these speculations are unsubstantiated and stem largely from social media, YouTube commentary, and hip-hop forums, often amplified by figures like Whack 100, Loose Cannon, and Charleston White, who have pushed Big U Nipsey conspiracy theories for years on underline. No official police statements confirm retaliation linked to Nipsey, and Big U has denied any involvement in Hustle's death, but in the court of public opinion, particularly within hip-hop culture and gang politics, perception often matters more than proof, and the perception that Jabari's death represented karmic retribution for Nipsey's murder had taken hold with a force that would be impossible to dispel, regardless of what official investigations might eventually uncover. The federal case, a criminal empire disguised as charity. While the streets buzzed with theories about Nipsey and retribution, federal investigators had been building something way more concrete, a devastating case against Big U that would expose what they allege was a sophisticated criminal enterprise masquerading as community activism. And at the center of this case was a body that bore striking similarities to the Nipsey situation, the murder of aspiring rapper Rayshawn Williams, also known as RUW. Federal authorities have charged Henley with murder, extortion, human trafficking, and racketeering, among other crimes. crimes as part of a criminal enterprise, underline. The scope and detail of these charges paint a picture of a man who allegedly operated a mafia-like criminal organization while presenting himself to the world as a reformed OG and community hero. The murder of Rayshawn Williams is particularly significant because it allegedly reveals Big U's pattern of behavior and his willingness to body anyone who disrespected him artistically. In January 2021, Henley allegedly kidnapped Williams in Las Vegas, drove him to North Las Vegas, shot him, and left his body in a desert ditch. Williams' body was discovered in a ditch off Interstate 15 in North Las Vegas, about 4 miles northeast of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What was the motive? Williams recording a defamatory or diss song about Henley at a Las Vegas studio, rather than recording at the studio Henley had paid for. Sound familiar? This is exactly what many allege happened between Big U and Nipsey. Tension over a diss track leading to deadly consequences. As one analysis put it,
Rayshawn Williams was in Las Vegas. Big U went to Las Vegas, and the feds are accusing Big U of killing Rayshawn Williams in Vegas. Now, Rayshawn Williams and Big U was in the studio together earlier in the night before, the feds claimed Big U allegedly murdered him. So the feds will list out ways that Big U went above and beyond to conceal, hide, and really throw the feds off in their investigation.
The complaint details that Henley, along with Sylvester Robinson, known as Vay, confronted Williams, drove him to North Las Vegas, shot him in the head, and dragged his body into the desert, underline. Post-murder, Henley allegedly took steps to cover up the crime, including ordering studio workers to leave, having an associate remove security footage, and instructing witnesses not to speak with police, underline. The personal connection makes this even more chilling. Williams, also referred to as RW, was an aspiring rapper signed to Unique Music. Before his music career, Williams was a wide receiver for the Crenshaw High School football team, where he was teammates with Henley's son, Diane Henley. Underline. Big U allegedly smoked his own son's teammate and homie, but the murder charge is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The charges against Henley are extensive, totaling 43 counts in a federal indictment, underline, including conspiracy to violate the RICO Act, multiple counts of robbery and extortion, human trafficking, and embezzlement, once underline. Perhaps most damning is how Big U allegedly used his nonprofit Developing Options as a front for criminal activity. From July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2023, the charity received $235 million from the city's Gang Reduction and Youth Development (GRYD) program. Prosecutors claim he embezzled donations, transferring funds to his personal bank accounts, defrauding companies, donors, athletes, and celebrities, including NBA players like Draymond Green and Shaquille O'Neal. Federal prosecutors claim that Big U used this charity as a front for fraudulent purposes and to insulate its members from suspicion by law enforcement. He also allegedly submitted a fraudulent COVID-19 pandemic relief loan application for Unique Music, claiming a $200,000 profit in 2019, despite a $5,000 loss. Before his arrest, Big U tried to get ahead of the story, posting videos that would prove eerily prescient about the case against him.
So this is gonna probably be my last video. I'm gonna go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses.
In his defense, Big U painted himself as a victim of internet gossip and character assassination, claiming his community work was being weaponized against him.
But y'all sending it around, getting people in trouble. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. But I guess it is what it is.
He continued.
This the price of being black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community and do what you can. You just guilty because somebody else don't like you and then go on the internet and do what they want to, and y'all gonna promote it.
Regarding the allegations about using his charity as a front, Big U was adamant.
And I used Developing Options as a front. Developing Options paid my bills. They paid my house note. They paid the bills for my family, the money I made from as an employee for Developing Options. I never mixed that with nothing. I didn't manipulate nobody. I didn't steal nothing. We did PPP loans. We did 2 loans. And that's it.
But federal prosecutors tell a very different story. They allege that Big U leveraged social media platforms, documentaries, podcasts, and interviews to create a positive public image, using his reputation as an OG, original gangster, to stoke fear and expand power. His appearance in Hip Hop Uncovered, available on Hulu, portrayed him as a community leader, further insulating him from suspicion. The concept of checking in, where artists and athletes visiting Los Angeles were allegedly required to pay Big U for protection, features prominently in the the federal case, in Big U's own words from a previous interview about this practice. But federal authorities allege this checking-in culture was actually an extortion scheme where he allegedly required victims, including professional athletes and musicians, to check in with him before arriving in Los Angeles for protection. On April 8, 2025, Henley pleaded not guilty to all charges during his arraignment in a downtown Los Angeles courtroom. His trial is scheduled to begin on May 20th, just underlined, and if convicted, he could face hundreds of years in prison due to the severity and number of charges. The FBI has been investigating the Rolling 60s since August 2020, and the Big U enterprise since Cost underlined, indicating a long-term effort to dismantle the alleged criminal network. Alongside Henley, 19 other Rolling 60s members and associates have been charged with various federal crimes, including drug trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and firearms offenses. So, where does all this leave us? We have a dead youngin', a locked-up father facing life in prison, conspiracy theories about Nipsey Hussle's murder coming back with a vengeance, federal prosecutors alleging a sophisticated criminal enterprise, and a community torn between viewing Big U as a hood hero or a villain. The truth, as always, likely lies somewhere in the murky middle, but one thing is certain: the streets of Los Angeles remember everything, and in the game of gang politics and hip-hop industry beefs, debts always come due one way or another. Whether Jabari Henley's death was truly retribution for Nipsey Hussle, whether Big U really orchestrated murders and ran a criminal empire behind a facade of charity work, or whether this is all an elaborate prosecution by federal authorities determined to take down a prominent gang leader, these questions may be answered in court on May 20th, 2025. But in the streets and on social media, the verdict has already been rendered, and the story of Big U has become a cautionary tale about the thin line between street legend and federal defendant, between community activism and organized crime, and between karma and coincidence. Love this video? Click on the cards on your screen for more.